Anya Paramegam Homage to the Diamond Gungang Banya Paramel Sutra Namo Diamond Gungang Banya Paramel Sutra Namo Gungang Banya Paramel Namo Gungang Banya Paramel Open verse. The supremely profound and subtle Dharma, rarely encountered in hundreds of thousands of millions of eons. Now that I hear this sutra and can uphold it, I vow to understand the Tathagata's true meaning. Mantra of the Dharma Assembly. Om Adana Madada Om Adana Madada Om Adana Madada Om. Occasion of the Dharma Assembly. Thus I have heard. At one point the Buddha was staying at the Jaravana Thapindika's park in the kingdom of Suravasti, together with a great assembly of 1,250 monks. When it was time for the meal, the world-honored one put on his robe, took off his alms bowl, and entered the city of Suravasti to collect their alms, going from house to house. After collecting alms, he returned to his dwelling, completed his meal, put away his robe and bowl, washed his feet, arranged his seat, and sat down. Subordhi recast the teaching. At that time, the elder Subordhi was among the assembly, rose from his seat, bared his right shoulder, knelt on his right knee, joined his palms in the reverence, and addressed the Buddha. Rare and wondrous it is, Tathagata, that you care for all bodhisattvas and enter them into your instructions, world-honored one. How should a virtuous man or woman who has given rise to the minds of Anuttara Amyaktara Samyak Sambodhi, abiding that awakened mind, and how should they subdue their afflicted mind? The Buddha said, well said, Subodhi. As you have said, the Tathagata cares for all bodhisattvas and entrusts them with instructions. Now listen carefully, for I shall explain this to you. A virtuous man or woman who has given rise to the mind of Anyaktara Samyak Sambodhi should abide in their awakened mind thus and subdue their afflicted mind thus. Yes, word honored one, I eagerly wish to hear it. The truth principle of Mahayana. The Buddha and the Swarti, all Bodhisattva Mahasattvas, should subdue their afflicted mind in this way. All kinds of sentient beings, whether born from eggs, wombs, moisture, or transformation, whether with form or without form, whether with thoughts, without thoughts, or neither with nor without thoughts. I shall lead them all to the nirvana of liberation and deliver them. Yet, even though countless sentient beings are thus delivered, in truth, not a single sentient being is delivered. Why is this, Subodhi? Because if a bodhisattva holds notion of self, others, sentient beings, or longevity, they are not a bodhisattva. The word wondrous practice without abiding. Therefore, Swarti, a bodhisattva should practice giving without abiding by any phenomenon. They should provide without abiding by form and not accept sound, smell, taste, touch, or any phenomenon while giving. Subordhi, a bodhisattva should give in this way without abiding by appearances. Why? Because if a bodhisattva gives without abiding in appearances, their merit is so vast that it cannot be measured by thoughts. Saborti, what do you think? Can the emptiness of the western direction be fully measured by thought? No, it cannot. Word honored one. Sporty. Can the emptiness of the southern, western, northern, intermediate direction, or the emptiness above and below be fully measured by thoughts? No, it cannot. Word honored one. Sporty. The merge of the Bodhisattva who gives without abiding in appearances is likewise immeasurable by thoughts. Subordinate, a bodhisattva should abide as taught, seeing the truth of reality. Subordinate, what do you think? Can the Tathagata be seen through his physical form? No, world honored one. The Tathagata cannot be seen through his physical form. Why? Because the form that the Tathagata speaks of is not a truly form. The Buddha said to Swarti, all phenomena are illusory. If you see all phenomena as untrue forms, then you will see the Tathagata. True faith in the final age is rare. Swarti said to the Buddha, world honored one, will there be sentient beings who, upon hearing such words or verses, can give rise to the true faith? The Buddha said to Swarti, do not say such a thing. Even 2,500 years after the Tathagata has passed, there will be those who uphold the precepts and cultivate merits, capable of giving rise to faith in these words and verses and regarding them as genuine. Know this. Such a person has not only formally planted goodness under one, two, three, four, or five Buddhas, but has already established sacred root of the goodness on the countless millions of Buddhas. Hearing these verses will give rise to the pure faith in a single moment of thoughts. Subordhi, the Tathagata fully knows that and see that all such sentient beings will attain immeasurable merit in this way. Why? Because these sentient beings no longer hold notion of self, others, sentient beings, or longevity, nor do they hold notion of truth or false teaching. Why? If these sentient beings grasp at any appearances in their minds, they will cling to the notion of self, others, sentient beings, or longevity. If they grasp the idea of truth, they will still be caught in the notion of self, others, sentient beings, or longevity. And if they grasp the idea of false teaching, they will likewise be caught in those same notions. Therefore, you should neither cling to the actual teaching nor false teaching. This is why I have always told you, monks, know that the Dharma I teach is like a raft. Even the truth must be let go of. How much more so false teachings? Not attained, nothing spoken. Sporty, what do you think? Has the Tathagata attained Anyaktara Samyak Samburi? Has the Tathagata spoken any Dharma? Swarty said, as I understand the meaning of what the Buddha has said, there is no fixed truth called Anyaktara Samyak Samburi, nor has the Tathagata spoken any fixed Dharma. Why? The truth spoken by the Tathagata cannot be grasped or expressed. It is neither true nor non-true. Why? Because all enlightenment sages and saints differ from others due to their transcendence of the relative world through the unconditioned absolute Dharma. All rises from this truth. Swarty, what do you think? If a person filled the Trenchilocosm with the seven treasures and gave them widely in charity, how great would their merit be? Swarty said, very great, word honored one. Why? Because this merit is not the inherent nature of merit. The Tathagata says it is a great merit. The Buddha said, if another person upheld even just 4 lines from this sutra and explained them to others, their merit would far surpass the former. Why, Sporty? Because the Anyaktara Samyak Sambhuri of all Buddhas arise from this sutra. Sporty, called the Buddha's Dharma is not truly the Buddha's Dharma. The absolute Dharma is not a being. Sporty, what do you think? Would a stream entering think I have attained the fruit of stream entering? Swarty said, no word honored one. Why? Because the stream anterior is merely a name for entering the flow of the holy ones. Yet in reality, nothing is entered, neither form, sound, smell, taste, touch, or any phenomena. It is only called stream anterior. Swarty, what do you think? Would a once returner think I have attained the fruit of once returning? Swarty said, no word honored one. Why? Because once returner is merely a name for one who returns once, yet in reality there is no thought of going or returning. It is only called once returner. Sporty, what do you think? Would a non-returner think I have attained the fruit of non-returning? Sporty said, no word honored one. Why? Because non-returner is merely a name for who does not return. Yet in reality, there is no thought or not returning. It is only called non-returning. No. Sporty, what do you think? Would an arhat think I have attained the path of an arhat? Sporty said, no word honored one. Why? Because if an arhat thought I have attained the path of an arhat, they would be clinging to the notion of self, others, sentient beings, or longevity. Word honored one. You have said I am far foremost among those who have attained the Sammaki, free from the contention, the first among those who have abandoned desire as an arhat. Yet, word honored one, I do not think I am an arhat who has abandoned desire. Word honored one, if I thought I have attained the path of an arhat, you would not have said that Swarty delights in the practice of solitude, because Swarty truly has no thought of practicing solitude. You have said that Swarty delights in the practice of solitude, adorning the Pure Land. The Buddha said to Swarty, Swarty, what do you think? Did the Tathagata attain any truth while in the presence of Dimpakara, Buddha in the past? No, world honored one. The Tathagata did not attain any truth while in the presence of Dimpakara. Buddha. Subordinate, what do you think? Does a Bodhisattva adorn a Buddha land? Well done, old one. Why? Because the adornment of the Buddha land by a Bodhisattva is not truly adornment. It is merely called adornment. Therefore, Sporty, our Bodhisattva Mahasattva should give rise to a pure mind in this way. They should not give rise to a mind abiding in form, nor should they give rise to the mind abiding in sound, smell, touch, or any phenomenon. Subordinate. For example, if a person's body were as large as Mountain Samaru, what do you think? Would that body be considered significant? Swarty said, very large, world ordered one. Why? Because the Buddha has said that what is not a body is called a large body, immeasurable, great merit. Swarty, if there were as many Ganges River as grains of sands in Ganges, what do you think? Would the sands in all those Ganges River be numerous? Subordinate said, very numerous. Well done, old one. If the number of Ganges rivers alone would be countless, but much more so the sands in them. The Buddha said, Subordinate, I now tell you truly, if a virtuous man or woman fills in many trinchalocosm as there are sands in those Ganges river with the seven treasures and gave them widely in charity, how great would their merit be? Subordinate said, exceedingly great. Well done, old one. The Buddha said to Subordinate, if a virtuous man or woman upheld even just 4 lines from this sutra and explained them to others, their merit would be immeasurably greater than the former, devouring the true teaching. Furthermore, Subordinate, if even such a 4 line from this sutra I explained, know this, that place will be one where all beings of the world, gods, humans, and asura should make offerings, as they would to a Buddha's stupa or temple. How much more so if a person can fully uphold, read, and recite this sutra? Subordinate, notice, such a person has attained the highest, most supreme and rare truth. Wherever this sutra is present, it is as if the Buddha is there, or as if a revered disciple of the Buddha is there, upholding it according to the Dharma. At that time, Swarti said to the Buddha, Lord Honored One, what should this sutra be called, and how should we uphold it? The Buddha said to Swarti, this sutra is called Gumgang Panya Paramya Sutra, and you should uphold it as such. Why? Because the Gimgang Banya Paramil Gyang, perfection of wisdom, spoken of by the Tathagata, is not truly Gimgang Banya Paramil. It is merely called Gimgang Banya Paramil. Swarti, what do you think? Has the Tathagata spoken any truth? Swarti said to Buddha, would honored one, world honored one, the Tathagata has not spoken anything. Swarti, what do you think? Are the countless particles of the dasa in the Chinchinlocosm numerous? Swarti said, very numerous. Well done, old one. The Buddha said, Swarti, the Tathagata says that all these dust particles are not truly dust, they are merely called dust. The Tathagata said that a word is not truly a word, but merely called a word. Swarti, what do you think? Can the Tathagata be seen through the 32 marks of great being? No, word on old one, the Tathagata cannot be seen through the 32 parts marks of great being. Why? Because the 32 marks of the great being spoken of by the Tathagata are not truly marks. They are merely called marks. The Buddha says, Subordinate, if a virtuous man or woman gave away as many lives as there are sands in Ganges River in charity, and there and another person upheld even 4 lines from the sutra and explained them to others, the latter's merit would be far greater than the former. Tranquil cessation free from all form. At that time, Svortia, upon hearing the words of the sutra, deeply realized its meaning. Shed tears and wept sorrowfully. Then he spoke to the Buddha. Truly extraordinary, word honored one. What the Buddha expounds such a profoundly deep sutra. I, in all my past lives up to this moment, with the eye of wisdom I've cultivated, have never heard such a sutra before. World honored one. If a person hears the sutra and gives rise to pure faith, then the realm of the true reality will manifest for them. It should be known that such person has surely attained the most extraordinary merits. World honored one. This realm of true reality is not a phenomenon or concept, and therefore, the Tathagata has named it the realm of true reality. Yet, world honored one, for me to hear this sutra, believe it, understand it, and uphold it is not difficult. However, if in the future, 2,500 years from now, there are sentient beings who hear this sutra, believe it, understand it, and uphold it, those people will genuinely be the most extraordinary. Why is this so? Because the notion of self is not an absolute concept, nor are the notion of others, sentient beings, or longevity absolute concepts. Why? Because what is called Buddha is precisely that which has let go of all concepts entirely. The Buddha said to Subhuti, so it is, so it is. If there is again a person who hears this sutra and is neither shocked, frightened, nor fearful, know this, such a person is truly extraordinary. Why is this so, Swarty? The supreme perfection, paramita, that the Tathagata speaks of is not the supreme perfection. It is merely called supreme perfection. Subordhi. The perfection of patience that the Tathagata speaks of is not the perfection of patience. It is merely called perfection of patience. Why is this so, Subordhi? When it in the past King Kali dismembered my body at that time, I had no notion of self, no notion of others, no notion of sentient beings, and no notion of longevity. When my limbs were severed joint by joint, if I had notion of self, others, sentient beings, or longevity, I would surely have given rise to the anger and resentment. Sporty, I recall although also that in the past for 500 lifetimes I practiced as a sage of patience. Even then I have no notion of self, no notion of others, sentient beings, and no notion of longevity. Therefore, sporty, a bodhisattva should let go of all concept and awaken the mind of unsurpassed, complete, perfect enlightenment. Anyaktara samyak samburi. They should not give rise to a mind attached to the form, nor should they give rise to the mind connected to sound, smells, tastes, touches, or any phenomena. They should give rise to a mind that abides now nowhere. Even if there is abiding in the mind, it is not genuinely abiding. Thus, Tathagata says that a bodhisattva should give charity without being attached to forms. Subordinate, a bodhisattva should provide in this way to benefit all sentient beings. Yet the Tathagata says that all concepts are not concepts, and all sentient beings are not sentient beings. Subordinate, the Tathagata speaks the truth, one who speaks reality, one who speaks what it is, one who does not speak falsehood, and one who do not say otherwise. Subordinate, the truth that the Tathagata has attained this Dharma is neither real nor unreal. Subordinate, if a bodhisattva gives charity while their mind abide by some phenomenon, it is like a person in darkness who cannot see anything. But if a bodhisattva gives charity without their mind abiding in any phenomenon, it is like a person with clear eyes seeing all sorts of things distinctly in the bright sunlight. Supporting in the future, if there is a virtuous man or woman who can uphold, read, and recite this sutra, the Tathagata, with the wisdom of Buddha, will fully know and fully see that person. They will all attain immeasurable, boundless merit, the merit of upholding the sutra. Subordinate. Suppose a virtuous man or woman in the morning gives away as many bodies as there are grains of sand in the Ganges River, then afternoon again gives away as many bodies as there are grains of sand in Ganges River, and in the evening once more gives away as many bodies as there are grains of sand in Ganges River, performing such acts of giving with their bodies of countless hundreds of thousands of millions of eons. If, however, there is another person who hears this sutra and gives rise to faith without resistance, the merge of the person will surpass the former. How much more if they copy this sutra, uphold it, read it, recite it, and explain it to others? Subordinate. To summarize, the sutra possesses inconceivable, immeasurable, and boundless merit. The Tathagata has expounded the sutra for those who have set forth in the great vehicle, Mahayana, and for those who have set forth on the supreme vehicle. If there is a person who can uphold this sutra, read it, recite it, and widely explain it to the others, the Tathagata fully knows that and fully sees that person. Such a person will attain merit that is immeasurable, inexpressible, limitless, and beyond comprehension. These people are the ones who bear the Tathagata's unsurpassed, complete, perfect enlightenment. Anyattara Samyak Sambori. Why is this so, Subordinate? Those who delight in the teaching of lesser Vyaika, Hinayana, cling to the notion of self, the notion of others, the notion of sentient beings, and the notion of longevity. Thus, they cannot hear, understand, read, recite, or explain this sutra to others. Subordinate. Wherever this sutra is present is where all beings of world, gods, humans, and asura should make offerings. No place is equivalent to a Sutu powers of reverence. All should pay homage, circumambulate it, and scatter various flowers and incense there, purifying and clarifying the storehouse of karma. Therefore, sporty, if a virtuous man or woman upholds this sutra, read it and recite it, and as a result is despised or insulted by others, know that this person, due to the karmic offense of past lives, was destined to fall into an evil realm. However, by being despised by others in this present life, those past karmic offenses are extinguished and they will surely attain unsurpassed, complete, perfect enlightenment. Anaktara samyak sambari. Moreover, suppose though there is yet another person who in the future, during the final age, can uphold this sutra, read it, and recite it. In that case, the merge they gain will far exceed the merge I accrued by offering to all Buddhas, surpassing it not by a hundredth parts, but by a million, billions, or any mathematical comparison. Subordinate. If I were to fully describe the merits gained by a virtuous man or woman who in the final age to come uphold this and recite this sutra, some people upon hearing it, might become confused, doubtful, and unable to believe it. Subordinate, you should know this. The meaning of the sutra is beyond conception, and its words are immeasurably vast. Ultimately, there is no self. At that point, Subordinate addressed the Buddha. Well done, old one. How should a virtuous man or woman who has given rise to the mind of unsurpassed, complete, perfect enlightenment, Nanyoktara Samyak Sambhuri, abides in that awakened mind, and how should they subdue the mind of affliction? The Buddha said to Subodhi, if a virtuous man or woman has given rise to the mind of Anyaktara Samyak Sambhuri, they should give rise to these thoughts. I will liberate all sentient beings, yet have liberated all sentient beings. They should understand that in reality no sentient beings has been liberated. Why is this so, Sporty? Because if a bodhisattva holds to the notion of self, the notion of others, the notion of sentient beings, or the notion of longevity, they are not bodhisattva, Sporty. The reason is that this awakening of the Anektara Samyak Sambhuri arises precisely in no fixed truth. Swarty, what do you think? Was there some truth that the Tathagata attained in the presence of Dimpakara, Buddha, by which he realized Anyaktara Samyak Sambhuri? No, world honored one, as I understand the meaning of what the Buddha had taught. When you were in the presence of Dimpamkara Buddha, there was no specific truth by which you attained Anektara Samyak Sambhuri. The Buddha said, so it is, Swarty. Indeed, it is in the realm where there is no fixed truth in that the Tathagata attained Anektara Samyak Sambhuri, Swarty. If there had been some fixed truth by which the Tathagata attained Anektara Samyak Sambhuri, then Pamkara Buddha would not have bestowed upon me to prediction, saying, in the In a future age, you will surely become a Buddha named Sakyamuni. It is purely because I attained Anattara Samyak Sambhuri in the realm where there is no fixed truth that Dimpakara Buddha bestowed this prediction upon me, saying, in a future age you will surely be a Buddha, and your name will be Sakyamuni. Why is this so? Because Tathagata means one in accord with the suchness, tathata, of all phenomena. Therefore, Subordhi, even if someone says that the Tathagata attained Anattara Samyak Sambhuri in reality, the Tathagata attained in the realm where there is no fixed truth. Sporty. In the Anattara Samyak Sambhuri that the Tathagata has attained, there is neither reality nor unreality. Thus, the Tathagata says that all phenomena are the Buddha's Dharma. Sporty, called all phenomena, is not truly all phenomena. It is merely named all phenomena. Subordinate. It is like a person's body being exceedingly large. Subordinate said, World Donald 1. When the Tathagata speaks of a person's body being exceedingly large, it is not truly a large body. It is merely called a large body. The Buddha says, so it is. Subordinate. The Bodhisattva is the same. If someone says, I have liberated countless sentient beings, they cannot be called a bodhisattva. Why is this so, Subodhi? Because one who does not cling to any fixed truth in their mind is called a bodhisattva. Therefore, the Tathagata says that in all phenomena there is no self, no others, no sentient beings, and no longevity, Subodhi. If a Bodhisattva says, I will adorn a Buddha's land, they cannot be called a Bodhisattva. Why? Because the adornment of the Buddha land, as spoken by the Tathagata, is not truly adornment. It is merely called adornment. Sporty. If a Bodhisattva thoroughly penetrates the truth of non-self, the Tathagata will call the person a true Bodhisattva, a great being, Mahasattva. See all as one. Sporty, what do you think? Does the Tathagata possess the physical eye? Yes. Well done, old one. The Tathagata possesses the physical eye. Sporty, what do you think? Does the Tathagata possess the divine eye? Yes, well done, old one. The Tathagata possesses the divine eye. Swarty, what do you think? Does the Tathagata possess the wisdom eye? Yes, Arnold one. The Tathagata possesses the wisdom eye. Swarty, what do you think? Does the Tathagata possess the Dharma's eye? Yes, World Arnold one. The Tathagata possesses the Dharma's eye. Swarty, what do you think? Does the Tathagata possesses Buddha's eye? Yes, World Arnold one. The Tathagata possesses the Buddha's eye. Swarty, what do you think? Has the Tathagata spoken of countless grains of sand in the Ganges River? Yes, World Donald one. The Tathagata has spoken of the sands of the Ganges River. Ganges. Swarty, what do you think? If there are as many Buddha world as grains of sand in Ganges River, would you say those are numbers? Exceedingly numbers. World Donald one. The Buddha said to Swarty, the Tathagata fully knows the minds of all sentient beings in those numberless words. Why is this so? Because all minds that the Tathagata speaks of are not truly minds. They are merely called minds. The reason Buddha Subodhi is that the minds of the past cannot be grasped. The minds of the present cannot be grasped, and the minds of the future cannot be grasped. Universally transform the realm of Dharma. Sporty. Do not say this. The Tathagata thinks that there is a dharma and truth that I spoken. Why? Because if someone says the Tathagata has spoken the dharma of truth, it has become a slander against the Tathagata, for they do not understand the meaning of what I have said. Swarti, to speak of truth is to speak of the absence of truth. It is merely called speaking of truth. At that time, Swarti, whose name means bright wisdom, addressed the Buddha. More than old one, in the future, will there be any sentient beings who, upon hearing these words of truth, can give rise to a mind of faith? Buddha said, Swarti, do not speak of sentient beings or not sentient beings. Why is this so, Subordinate? What is called sentient beings is spoken by the Tathagata is as not sentient beings. It is merely named sentient beings. The Tathagata of the Dharma free from the form body. Sporty, what do you think? If a person were filled the Trinchalocosm, 3,000 great thousand and words, with the seven treasures, and give them away widely in charity, would the merits gained by this person due to this cause be great? Yes, World Honored One, this person would gain exceedingly great merit due to this cause. The Buddha said to Swarti, if a merit were something truly substantive, substan, ten, substantial, the Tathagata would not say that great merit is gained. It is purely because merit is inherently substantial that the Tathagata says that great merit is gained. The teaching beyond words, or the Dharma expounded without speech. Swarti, do not say this. The Tathagata thinks that there is a Dharma of truth I have spoken. Why? Because if someone says the Tathagata has spoken a Dharma of truth, this becomes slander against the Tathagata, for they do not understand the meaning of what I have said. Swarti, to speak of truth is to speak of absence of truth. It is merely called speaking of truth. At that time, Swarti, whose name means bright wisdom, addressed the Buddha. World honored one, the future, will there be any sentient beings who, upon hearing these words or of truth, can give rise to the mind of faith? The Buddha said, Swarti, do not speak of sentient beings or not speak sentient beings. Why is this so, Swarti? What is called sentient beings is spoken of by the Tathagata as not sentient beings. It is merely named sentient beings. There is nothing to attain in truth. Subordinate addressed the Buddha. World honored one, when the Buddha attained unsurpassed, complete, perfect enlightenment, Anyaktara Samyak Sambodhi, it is as tough, nothing was attained. It is as tough, nothing was attained. The Buddha said, so it is, Subordinate. What is called Anyaktara Samyak Sambodhi is merely a name. It is in the realm where not the slightest trace of any truth remains, and where I have attained nothing. That is called Anyaktara Samyak Sambodhi. Cultivate goodness with a pure mind. Therefore, Swarti, this is true. This truth is equal with no high or low. And thus, it is called Anyaktara Samyak Sambodhi, unsurpassed, complete, perfect enlightenment. By cultivating all these virtuous dharmas without the notion of self, others, sentient beings, or longevity, one attained Anyaktara Samyak Sambodhi. Subordinate, what is called virtuous dharma, is spoken by the Tathagata as not truly being virtuous dharma. It is merely named virtuous dharma. Merits and wisdom cannot be compared. Subordinate, those a person were to take heaps of the seven treasures, as vast as mountains, Samaru, the king of the mountains, in all Trinchilocosum, 3,000 great thousand words, and give them widely in charity. If, however, another person were to uphold, recite, and expound to others even just 4 lines verses from this Kumgangbanya Sutra, the marriage of the former would not amount to even 100th part of the later, nor the 100,000 millionth part, nor could it compare even with all possible numerical measures were gathered together, transforming others, yet nothing is done. Swarty, what do you think? Do not say that. The Tathagata thinks I must liberate sentient beings. Swarty, do not entertain such a thought. Why? Because in reality, there are no sentient beings of the Tathagata to liberate. If there were sentient beings for the Tathagata to liberate, it would mean the Tathagata holds notion of self, others, sentient beings, and longevity. Swarty, when the Tathagata speaks of a self, it means there is no such a thing as a self. Only ordinary people speaks of a self. Swarty, what is called an ordinary person is spoken by the Tathagata as not truly an ordinary person. It is merely named ordinary person. The Dharma body is not a being. Swarty, what do you think? Can the Tathagata be seen through the 32 marks of a great being? Swarty replied, yes, the Tathagata can be seen through the 32 marks of great being. The Buddha said, Swarty, if the Tathagata could be seen through the 32 marks of great being, then a wheel-turning sage king would also be a Tathagata. Swarty addressed the Buddha. World honored one. As I understand the meaning of what the Buddha has said, the Tathagata cannot be seen through 32 marks of great being. At that time, the world honored one spoke these verses. If one seeks me through forms of searches for me through the sounds, they walk a perverse path and will never see the Tathagata. It is not ultimately no extinct existence. Subordinate, if you think that the Tathagata attained Anaktara Samyak Sambodhi because he lacks the perfect marks, does not entertain such a thought, please do not say that the Tathagata attained Anaktara Samyak Sambodhi because he lacks perfect marks. Swarty, if you think that one who has given rise to the minds of Anaktara Samyak Sambodhi asserts that all phenomena are cut off and are utterly non-existent, do not entertain such a thought. Why? Because the one who has given rise to the minds of Anaktara Samyak Sambodhi does not say that all phenomena are cut off and utterly non-existent as the truth, neither receiving nor craving. Subordinate, if a bodhisattva were to give away the seven treasures, filling as many worlds as there are grains of sand in Ganges River, and if another person realized the truth of no self in all phenomena and attain enlightenment, the merge of this later bodhisattva would surpass that of the former. Why, Sporty? Because all bodhisattva do not receive merit. Sporty asked the Buddha, World Honor One, how is it that bodhisattva do not receive merit? The Buddha replied, Sporty, a bodhisattva do not cling to the merit they have produced. Therefore, it is said that they do not receive merit. The dignity is profound. Sporty, if someone said the Tathagata comes, goes, sits, or lies down, the person does not understand the meaning of what I have said. Because why? Because the Tathagata neither comes from anywhere nor goes anywhere. Thus, he is called the Tathagata. Truth and phenomena are not two. Sporty, if a virtuous man or woman were to pulverize the trenchant low cosm into fine dust, what do you think? Would that fine dust be numbers? Dingly numbers, well done, old one. Why? Because if that fine dust were a real, substantial entirety, the Buddha would not have spoken of as fine dust. What is the reason? The fine dust spoken by the Buddha is not truly fine dust, it is merely called fine dust. Well done, old one. The Trinchilocosm spoken of by the Tathagata is not truly a word, it is merely called a word. Why? Because if a word were real, substantial entirety, it would be an absolute singular form. Yet the absolute singular form spoken of by the Tathagata is not truly an absolute singular form. It is merely called a singular form. Sporty, an absolute singular form cannot be expressed in words. Only ordinarily sentient beings cling to it. Do not give rise to views. Sporty, if someone says that the Tathagata has spoken of views such as self, others, sentient beings, or longevity, what do you think, Sporty? Does this person correctly understand the truth I have spoken? No, word on old one. This person does not understand your spoken truth. Why? Because the views of self, others, sentient beings, and longevity that the word honored one has spoken of are not indeed views of self, others, sentient beings, or longevity. Supporting one who has given rise to the mind of Anyaktara Samyak Sambodhi should know, see, believe, and realize all phenomena in this way without giving rise to the notion of truth. Supporti, what I call the notion of truth, of spoken of by the Tathagata as naturally a notion of truth. It is merely called a notion of truth. The manifest body is not real. Supporting, if a person were to give away 7 treasures, filling countless anyaktara asamhiya, incalculable words, and if a virtuous man or woman who has given rise to the Bodhisattva mind uphold this sutra, even just a 4 line verses, recite it and expound it to the others, their marriage would far surpass that of the former. How should one expound it to others? By not being swayed by thoughts or phenomena, remaining of suchness, unmoving. The reason is this. All conditioned phenomena are like dreams, illusions, bubbles, shadows, like dew of lightning. Thus, should they be contemplated. Having fully expounded this sutra, the Buddha concluded, the elder the eldest devotee, along with the monks, nuns, laymen, laywomen, and all gods, humans and asura of the world who hear this Buddha's words were filled with great joy, believed, received, and practiced it. 건강받냐 바라면서나 나무 바가바데 불어주나 바람이다 om나다 디디다 일시일시밀시밀시비나யம் 비나யம் 나무 바가바데 불어디디ям 불어디 이리디 이리디 미리디 주리디 주리디 우시리 부야 부야스바 나무 바가바데 불어주나 바람이다 om나다 디디다 일시일시밀시밀시비나യം 비나യം 나무 바가바데 불어디디ям 불어디 이리디 이리디 미리디 주리디 주리디 우시리 부야 부야스바 나무 바가바데 불어주나 바람이다 om나다 디디다 일시일시밀 나무 바가바데 브라디디암 브라디 이리디 이리디 미리디 주리디 주리디 우주리 부야 부야 스바. Homage to the Blessed One, the perfection of wisdom, all transcendence one, all victorious one, all victorious one, all immaculate one, all immaculate one. To the conqueror, homage to the Blessed One, the supreme victorious one, the all radiant one, all radiant one, all glorious one, all glorious one, all exalted one, all awakened one, all awakened one, Subaha. 원위차공도 보구벌샤 등여 중세실발보내신 농익건강계 깨공 성불도 건강심진한 오모리니사바 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 오모르니사바 원위차공도 보구벌샤 등여 중세실발보내신 농익건강계 깨공 성불도 may this merit extend universally to all so that we together with all sentient beings fully arouse the mind of enlightenment, enter the Vira realm together and realizing emptiness attain the Buddha's path. 조합적인 금강반야 바람일경창 여시아문 선남자 선여인 소재 독선 차견 찬 1번 여정 건강경 30만 평 5등 10명 가피 중성 제휴국 관대령 실년 비상연령 요시 여전 연령 19 40만 지체를 적합내나 대왕문 원인상 이래 작가인년 여자 답변상 이래 편지득 건강경 문항하 분량 건강경 차여자 답변량 사람 무보험할 방향할 분명 계시경 용여시 한문지 심수봉행 도경 5149자 69불 51사 좀 85 열에 37보다 138 수고리 26 선남자 선녀인 38 하이고 36 중생 31 하이오나 30여시 29 안역나라 3명 3보리 21보 78 복덕에 13 항하 42 매진 7개 3전 전세계 7개 32 상팔공동 8장암 5바람인 사주정은 443 4남 4라 저시사가 4년여 5개가 아래와 정시세여 왕사절제지혜 시양여 상인상 중세상 두자상인 리무하게는 견주상견 수자견 비군예수는 신사국에 as I have heard virtuous men and women who uphold greed and recite this sutra of praise and single scroll, the surpassing reciting the Diamond Sutra 300,000 times and receive divine protection and believing blessings during the 7th year of the Denlik era of the Gaurya dynasty in Bisanhan, a woman of the Yu clan, and 19th she passed away, and on the 7th day she met Yama, the king of the underworld. He said, "What deeds have you performed in your lifetime?" The woman replied, "In my lifetime I earnestly obtained the Diamond Sutra." He asked, Did you not recite the praise of the Diamond Sutra?" She answered, "Since my youth I have constantly recited without ceasing." The king said, "Then return to the life, clearly remembering and upholding the sutra's text." Thus, as I have heard, she upheld it with her body and practiced it 5 1,149 characters in the sutra, 69 Buddhas, 51 world honored ones, 85 Tathagatas, 37 Buddhas, 138 Subhutis, 26 virtuous men and women, 38 rivers and mountains, 36 sentient beings, 31 meanings and metaphors, 30 poems and 29 instances of Anyaktara Samyasambhuri, 31 acts of giving, 18 marriage, 13 gang sands, 10 fine dust particles, 7 trenchilocosm, 7 cases of the 32 marks, 8 marriage, 8 adornments, 5 perfection paramitas, 4 stream anterior, 4 once returner, 4 non-returners, 4 arhats at that time, the 4 fruits of the sage, like when King Kali cut the body, or King Sakra, when each limb was severed. If there is notion of self, a notion of others, a notion of sentient beings, or a notion of longevity, every day there is no views of self, no views of others, no views of sentient beings, no views of longevity. 3 nuns upheld in within 7 days completing the practice.
너는 그동안의 일을 모두 이야기했어요. 그러자 아빠가 다정한 목소리로 말했어요. 그런데 너는 왜 애기가 되고 싶었니? 너는 동생들이 아주 좋아하는 멋진 실제인 거.
금강반야바라면
엄마가 하나도 웃으며 말했어요.
금강반야바라면
내가 어렸을 때 우리가
나무 금강반야바라면 나무 금강반야바라면 나무 금강반야바라면 개근개무상심심이 별성만점만금난주와금문전능주원의 열애진실에게 법정진하노마라나마라담 Nonyoin baranyo darana mya sambuni shimunyo shishiyo shihambuke shimniya sachunganyo yungmande sanyo bumbul kusupuri jakusa mahasananya shihambuke shimsoyon chesunglume 중생지를 양나생약 대생약 세생약 오생약 유생약 무생약 유상약 무상약 비윤생 비무상하게 영인 무여열 반이면 도시 여시멜도 무랑 무생 무생 유생지 무중생 눈면 도시하인 고수보리 야보상유 하상인생 유대산 수자산 지비 보살명행 모시공 부셔수보리 보살라법공 소지행 아보지 소비 부시다 보시 부시 상냐 매저바 보시 수보리 보살은 여시 보시 부시하사 아이고야 보살 부시상 보시 기복도 불가사령 수보리 여인하동 방어공과 사랑 부불리하사 수보리 남사법원상인 상하공과 사령 부불리하사 수보리 보살 무시상 부시 복당 여부여시 불가사령 수보리 보살 단인 여석이 열애실감은 수보리 아이오나가의 신상견 열애 부불리하사 신불가의 신상 득견 열애 아이고 열애 소설 신상 집빈 신상 빌고 수보리 공수유상 계시하만 양향여산 비상 주변 열애 정전이 여건 수보리 백고란 대전 바유정생 등문 여시한 선정구성 진진불 불구 수보리 망산 세상 열애 면허 백성 유식에서 복자한 자전거 능상진 이샤위 신랑제신 불화일분 이분 삼당 오분리 정성원이 어문항 전만 보선용자 성건문 신양군 내진년 상정 진전 수부리 여대 실제 실계 시제 융생 등 여시문항 복당 아이고 시제 융생 모방 융생남 수자 산유 모박 산유 모비부상 아이고 시제 융생 양심 시상 주기 장하인 융생 수자 역지법산 직장하인 융생 수자 아이고 역시 비법상 직장하인 융생 수자 시고 부릉 진방 부릉 지비범 인생이고 연애 항상 여덟 미고지 야사 버자 법년자 법상 상황 비범 무선 무선 분수보리 아이오나 열애 등 안유 나라는 명함보리 열애 유서서 벽자수보리 하자 아이부 소설이 부의적법 야와juk 따라서 벽사보리 여부의적법 열애가 설아이고 열애 소설법계 불가지 불가설 비법이 무이잘 제성계비 방비 자본은 방출생본 수보리하여 나야기만 삼천대 전세계 실보 이용보시신 소득분명형이 다보수보리 안심다사존 아이고 시복도 시고 열애설 법명단약 분야이나 장영중 내지 도지사국의 등 민당인상기 몽삼이 아이고 수보리 일자재불급재불 안녕나라 삼명삼변이 방연용 정연전수보리 소위불반자재비 부마인상문삼문 수모니아 이원의 수다원은 약신야마 등 수다원가부 수모니안 불량세존 아이고 수다원 명예임여부무소위 부리색생염이 저범시명 수다원 수보리아 이원의 사다원 등 약신야마 등 사단가부 물려사존 아이고 사다원 명예원래 시무원래 시명사다원 수보리 아이오나 하나 없는 약신념 아득 하나 안가부 수보리 물려사존 아이고 하나 없명이 불래 실무 불래 시고명 하나 없 수보리 아이오나 하나 없는 약신념 아득 하나 안드부 수보리 물려사존 아이고 실무 여범명 하나 암사존 야가나 약신념 아득 하나 주기창한 중선수전자는 불래 부산 아주문 제3명인중 제일신요 제일이용하란 세존나 부자시냐 마시이용하란 세존나 약신용하 등하란 도다전직부수주부리시용하란 나인자인수부리실모소행 이망수부리시용하란 나인장 장원정현노문 불고수부리어요나 열애설정연등불소업법녀소득부 불려세존 열애정연등불소업법 실모소노수부리어요나 불산장원 불등부 불려세존 아이고 장원불도저집비 장엄지명 장엄시고수부리 저부살마사능여시상정연신 부른주상생신 부른주성령미전본상정은 무소중이 생기심 수보리 비여중신여설미다능어이요나 시심의다부 수보리 안심다세존 아이고 불선비신시명대신모의 복성분 수보리 여항아중 소유사유여시사등항어이요나 시장하사 영이다부 수보리 안심다세존 난제항하상대무서 아원기사 수보리 항음진료 고야영년 선남자 선녀인의 질모만이 소항하사수 남자는 전세계영보시득국다부 수보리 안심다세존 불구 수보리 약선남자 선녀인어 장영중 내지 수지사국에는 위다인선이 자문단 선정면도년 준정의 본부자 수보리 수선 사국의 당장지 사찰제세 간천이 나술하게 공명력 불탄며 암왕요인 짓는 수지 동선 수보리 당지시인 상지제세 저상제인의 유지번여시인 여소지 제적이 여불약장전자자야 범수지번여시 수보리 백불안 사전당하명 청영하 등우나 공지불고 수보리 시경구 명예 건강반야바라면 내시명자야 당봉제 소위자 수보리 불선반야바라면 집계반야바라면 시명반야바라면 수보리 어이오나 열애 유소수법부 수보리 백불안 사전 열애 무사서 수보리 어이오나 삼전대 전세계 소유매진 제외다 부수보리 이전 수보리 제매진 열애설 비매진 시명매진 열애설 세계 비세계 시명세계 수보리 어이오나 가이 32상현 열애 부불려세전 불가이 32상 득현 열애 아이고 열애설 32상 지시비상 시명 32상 수보리 육류선 남자 선여인이 강하사 등신명 보승역 분여인 어장영진네 당국야등 외다인상 기복승당 이상정면 분리시 수보리 문선시경 시명이지 자료비회 비백보론 이유사전 분선연시 심승연연 아성선라 소득야 매진 등문야시 지경 세전역 분여인 등문시 극상천 상당지 시인성지제 리유공동사전지 신상자지 시비상시고 열애설명신라세존하금 등문야시 경전신내수수 부정진의 남편의대후 부대기 유증생 등문시경신내수신 시인지기제 리유아이고 자인모아상모인상 모진사상 모소자상 소위자 22상 인상 중생상 수자상 직시비상 아이고 일제재상 질문제부 불고수보리 야시야시 약분유인 등문시경 불경불법 분야당지 심의희유 아이고 수보리 열애설 제일바라면 직비 제일바라면 지명 제일바라면 수보리 인력바라면 열애설 인력바라면 지명 인력바라면 아이고 수보리 여하석기 가령화 알전지제하의 신모하상 모인상 모진세상 모수자상 아이고 아옹상 온상전지지혜시 양여하상 인상 중생 수자상 인상 진한 수보리 운영가고 오백세자긴 여산인 어이서 세모하상 모인상 모진세상 모수자상 시구 수보리 보사능일 재상바라뇨 다라삼명상 보리 신부른주상 생진 부른주상념의 저본상진 옥모소진 이상계신 응모서주심 약신유지시기 비유주시고 불설보살 신부능지상 보시수 보리보살 위해결제중생 응야시보시 열애설 제세상 직시비상 우선 일체중생 직비중생 수보리 열애시신 어제시러자 여자 불강어자 불이 어제 수보리 열애서 독법자법 문신무어 수보리 약보선 신부 심주어법 이행보신 여인의 만증문 소견약보선 신부주법 이행보신 여인의 먹을가만 조견중정선 수보리 당내진상 영녀선 남자선 여인의 어차경수지덕선 지기열애 이불지혜 실지신 신기신 개덕선 지무령무령 시강공덕원 수보리 영녀선 남자선 여인 조일본부 이양화 사등신 보시 중일본부 이양화 사등신 보시 여시 보시 후 일본 여기 양화사 등신 보시 여시 모랑 백전만화가 미신 보시 여부인 문창인전 신진불력이 복순비 항원서사 주시독성의인에서 수보리 연지시경류 불가사의 불가직년 무균 공덕열의 위불대승자사 위발차성자선영유인 능수지동성광인 성열의 실지신 신기신 개등성시 불가능 불가칭 무의금 불가사의 공등여신 등주기 아담열의 안영다가 삼명성불이 하영의 녀석보자 장하겐 인견질생견 수자견 질관창견 불능설수 등 수보리자자자자 양녀 자견 재생한 잔인 나서라 성공공녀 당지자다 저기시당견 공녀전례 위하여 이자와 상기자 능정엄 장부무차 수보리 선명자 선녀인 수지독선 자경야경 경천시인 선서제여 봉다학도 이금사인 경천성 이소명상 등 안영다라 삼명 삼보리 수보리 운영가가 수보리 안영가금 운영한 승지가 와연동 불전 득지 발백사점 만왕랑 이따제부 수배공룡 등사무공과장 예부유인 어만세 농수지 독성장인 소득공덕와 소공년제불 공덕백번 불급을 전만학 끝나지 선수비유 소불능금 수보리 약산남자 선녀인 어만세 유수지 독성장인 소득공덕아야 고설자 아우경이면 심증강난호와 이불시 수보리 등지신경이 불가사의 과보역 불가사의 구경무 아버니시 수보리 백불은 선남자 선녀인 바라뇨 다라 삼명 삼보리 심 우나웅주 우나항보기 신불구 수보리 약산남자 선녀인 바라뇨 다라 삼명 삼보리 심자당 성녀시시망멸도일 제중생멸도일 제중생이 이무일 중생유멸도자 이구 수보리 약보살류와 상인상중세자 둘자사 지비보사 소의자 수보리 실무유법 바라뇨 다라 삼명 삼보리 심자 수보리 어이유나 열애 어연두불소 유법대가뇨 다라 삼명 삼보리 부불려사전여 해불소생이 불어 연두불소 대가뇨 다라 삼명 삼보리 불은 여시야시 수보리 실무유법 열애 대가뇨 다라 삼명 삼보리 수보리 영유법 열애 대가뇨 다라 삼명 삼보리 자연두불지 불려하소기 여한의 세상대접불로 석가모니 실무유법 대가뇨 다라 삼명 삼보리 부불려세전 불가이 32상 득견 열애 연애 세상대접불로 석가모니 아이고 열애저 직접방냐의 양령이난 열애 대가뇨 다라 삼명 삼보리 수보리 실무유법 불대가뇨 다라 삼명 삼보리 수보리 열애 소득가 내관보리 어시주무 실무하시고 열애살인 제법계 시불법 수보리 소원여 제법자 직비의 제법 시구명은 제법 수보리 비여인 신난된 수보리 연세준 열애선인 신장대 직기비 대신 신명 대신 수보리 보살용여 시학자 시하나 등멸도 무량주선 직무나오도 이고 수보리 실무유법 명의보살시고 부설의 제법 모함모의 모진세 무수자 수보리 약보설 작시하나 당장은 불도시 불명불상해 이고 열애 설장엄 불도자 직비장엄 시명장엄 수보리 약보살 등동모아보전 열애 설명 진시보살 일체동관분 수보리 하여나 열애유유간부야 시사준 열애유유간 수보리 하여나 열애유전한부야 시사준 열애유전은 수보리 하여나 열애유한부야 신야제 여시사준 열애유한 수보리 하여나 열애유법원부야 시사준 열애유법원 수보리 하여나 열애유불안부야 시사준 열애유불안 수보리 하여나 영하준소유사불선 시사부야 시사준 열애사 시사수보리 하여나 여이랑하준소유상이야 시사등항하시쟁 소유사수부세기 여시양이 더부신다 세준불구 수보리 소국도중도주 소유중생약간 중신 열애설제 아이고 열애설제 신계이 비신시명 의심소유자 수보리 과거 신불가득 현재 신불가득 미래 신불가득 법계동 합은 수보리 하여나 열명 삼천대천세계 칠공이용 보시신 이시인년도 복다부 여시사준 차인 이시인년도 복심다 수보리 야부당 여신 열애불설도 부다다 이룩덕 무고 열애설도 복다다 이상기상번 수보리 하여나 불가이고 주세 연열애 불응이고 조사징연 아이고 열애설고 조사진 즉비고 조사진 신명고 조사진 수보리 하여나 열애가 아이고 조자상견 부불려사준 열애 불응이고 조자상견 아이고 열애설 재상구조 즉비고 조시명 재상구조 비소소 수보리 여무리 열애 약신여 마당 유소서 뻐멍시신여 아이고 약인한 열애 유소서가 즉비방 야소설고 수보리 설보자 무거가사 실명 설방기 이시명 수보리 백부단 세전 바여중생 어머니의 설문설 시보생 시시부부단 수보리 비비중생 비불중생 아이고 수보리 중생 중생전 열애설 비중생 실명부 중생 모버가득분 수보리 백부단 세전 불리간요 따라 삼명 삼보리 외문소득 야부란 여시야시 수보리 아완요 따라 삼명 삼보리 내지 부인소 버가득 실명한요 따라 삼명 삼보리 영신하에서 무부자 수보리 시법병등 모이고 하시명 한요 따라 니모아모이 모정산 무수자 수는 제선번지 등한요 따라 삼명선보리 수보리 소원선보자 열애선 집에 선보 실명선보 복지부변 수보리 약선 약삼천대전 세계중소유재 수미선은 여시등 실부지 여인주영 보신야기는 자본야바 남일견 내지나 후계는 수지도성인 위타인선 전복던 배법불급의 백천만화분 내지는 수비유 소분영도 화무수화분 수보리 하여나 여등모리 열애작신야 마등도정선 수보리 망정유자 마이고 신무유중생 열애도자 행유중생 열애도자 열애중야 열애설 유아자 집비 유아 이본부자 인이위 유아 수보리 본부자 열애설 집비 본부 시명 본부 법신비상분수보리어유나가이 32상권열의 부수보리안여시여시 32상권열의 불안수보리야기 32상권열의 자전여선한지열의 수보리 백불은 세전여의 불소설이 부릉이 32상권열의 이시세전 이사계언야기 색견의 이엠성구와 시인의 사도불릉견열의 무다불 수보리 여양자는 고적산 고등 안녕 따라 삼명삼보리 수보리 망자신념 열애부리 고적산 고등 안녕 따라 삼명삼보리 수보리 여양자신념 바란녕 따라 삼명삼보리 심자설제법자명 망자신념 아이고 바란녕 따라 삼명삼보리 심자법에서 삼명삼불수 불담불수 보리 약보선이 만화와사등 세계 제보지 영보신 영유선 남자 약공여인줄 자법무화접성어인 자보선승전보사수도 공동 아이고 수보리야 수보리 이자보살불수 복도고 수보리 백불원사전 운하보살불수 복도 수보리 보살 소작보도 불은 담전시고살불수 복도 위의 적전불수 보리 유인원 열애 영내 약과 약자 약과 시인 불레야 소설이야 이고 열애자 모서정내 영모서 고고문 열애 일라 비상분수 보리의 손남자 선녀이 삼전대전 세계세 용매진어 연하신미 징징여이 다부수 보리 한심대대전 아이고 인전진류자불 즉불 사시미 진준 소유자 불사미 진준 지비미 진준 실명미 진준 세전 열애소선 삼천대전 세계 지비 세계 시명 세계 아이고 약세계 세계 신류자 즉시 랍상 열애설이 랍상 직비 랍상 시명이 랍상 수보리 랍상저 즉시 불가살 남반부주인 탐자기 사직인 불생분 수보리 야기는 불성하긴 인견전생인 수적인 수보리 아이오나시인의 소설이 부불려 사긴 시인 불내 열애 소설이 아이고 세전선하긴 인견전생인 수적인 지비 야긴 인견전생인 수적인 시명하긴 인견전생인 수적인 수보리 바다뉴단 리신자 제법문야 시신야 시긴야 시신의 불생법상 수보리 소원법상자 열애설 직비 법상 시명 법상 응업이 중본 수보리 영유인이 마무랭 아생지 세계 질보지 영보신 영유 단남자 선녀의 발부사 짐자지와 자격내지 나무계동 수지 독성미인 녀석이 복수 비문화미인 녀석부지와 상여의 부동아이골 제유의 법녀모 왕포인 여로양여자 흥대녀 시간 불사 지경이 장로 수보리 급제 비구 비구니 오바세 우바인 제세간 전에 나서 변형하니 진동의 근거만냐 바람이 근거만냐 바람이 지는 나무 바가바대 부러지나 바람이 다여 없나다 디디다여 지미지미 지비나여 비나여 나무 바가바대 부라디대여 부라디디디디미디디 슈리디 슈리디 우시리 부여 부여 서바 나무 바가바대 부러지나 바람이 다여 없나다 디디다여 지미지미 비나여 나무 바가바대 부라디대여 부라디디디디미디디 슈리디 슈리디 우시리 부여 부여 서바 나무 바가바대 부러지나 바람이 다여 없나다 디디다여 지미지미 비나여 나무 바가바대 부라디대여 부라디디디미디티 슈리디 슈리디 우시리 부여 부여 서바 건강심지나 모모리니 사바 모리니 사바 모리니 사바 원이 자궁도 보고서 사등 여전 생실발분의 신동이 건강계경 홍성불도 건강반야 바람일강 잔여시하면 선남자 선여인 수지독성 차경 천일건 여전 건강연 30만 병노덕 신명과 비중성 제일국권 대력실년 비산년년 유시여전 유실구단인마 제체를 내감년나래 아문나래 생일에 작가인년 여자다발년 생일에 편지도 건강에 어머마 하불년에 청여자다발년 세상모범왕월 박녀 환월 북명계시 영문 중요시하면 지신수봉행국에 5139장 69불 50일 세전 85열에 37 부산 538 수보리 26선 남자선예 38 나이고 36 중생 31 어유나 30여시 29 안우 따라 3명3불이 21 부시 18 복덕에 13 항하사 12 매신 7개 3천대전 세계 7개 32 상팔군단 8장 어모바람을 사수도 사사람 사남 사란 전시사관 선인여와 덕기관행원 전시세여와 몽석절주지혜시 양유와 상인상 중세선 두자상 일일 모하겐 인견준생긴 수장에 산비군이 순해지는 사국의 나무 건강 번야